In James chapter 2, he says that a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. And for faith aloners who don't like the implications of this passage, you'll see a whole host of contrivances that have been designed to sort of avoid what James is saying. And, just the sheer number of these contrivances, and it's almost like it doesn't matter which one you pick, just avoid what James is saying. What James is talking about is what we must do as Christians to be saved on Judgment Day. And if you read the preceding context, starting at verse 11 and 12 and in there, you'll see that. What quite often happens here when you're speaking to, the faith alone advocates is that they'll confuse what James is talking about with what Paul is talking about at Ephesians 2:8, which is similar to what Paul is talking about at Romans 3 and 4. James is speaking to these people under the assumption that they've already had an Ephesians 2:8 event. They have been saved by grace apart from works from their past sins. That's already done. And James is speaking to Christians under that assumption. He's not talking about, what needs to be done to be, saved in a conversion event, which is what Ephesians 2:8 is about. He's already assuming that these people have had that happen to them. For them, Ephesians 2:8, for you have been saved by grace through the faith, and this is not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. James is assuming that they've already received that gift of salvation in the Ephesians 2:8 sense. That's when they became a Christian. And that's when they had their sins washed away. They were saved from their past sins. And so he's speaking to people that he knows have already had that happen. And for them, it's a past event. Just like last Thursday is a past event. And he's explaining to these people what must happen for them to be saved on Judgment Day. Here's what must happen for you to be saved on Judgment Day. Okay, and if you read your scriptures, you'll see that there is another salvation event that occurs on Judgment Day. And the whole of salvation is not just Ephesians 2:8. It's not just the salvation event on Judgment Day. The whole of salvation is being saved from your past sins, working out your salvation such that we are now being saved, and that we were waiting for Jesus to return and save us. And the last enemy to be destroyed is death. We're being saved from eternal death. And so James is explaining to them, here's what you must do to be saved on Judgment Day. Because on Judgment Day, every man will be judged by works. And that's why James is explaining a man is justified by works and not by faith alone. So what's he mean by faith alone? There are many people out there who think faith is like this inner disposition or attitude, and that's kind of it. And works are outward bodily activities, and that's it. And so those two are always different, and one should not be confused with the other. Okay? That's not what's going on here. James is actually explaining that, no, my faith is what I do. Just read through what he says. My faith is what I do. My works are my faith. My faith is what I do because my faith is my response to God. Okay? And that's why he says, don't you see how Abraham was justified by works when he offered up Isaac? That was his faith. It was his response of faith to God. He was having faith in God when he was doing that work. And that was his response of faith. And this is what James is getting at. That people had this idea that there's faith alone which saves them. like an inner disposition or attitude in their mind or in their heart which saves them. He's saying, no, that's wrong. Our faith is what we do. It's our works that we do. And because we're all going to be judged by works, that's pretty important. And what people want to do is they want to confuse this, what Paul is talking about at Ephesians 2:8, or what Paul is talking about at Romans 3 and 4. When he's explaining to the Jewish segment of Rome, no, you're not justified by works of law. Righteousness does not come by works of law. That was something that actually condemned you as a sinner, works of law. But now, he says in Romans 3:20 and 21, but now a righteousness of God. Okay? And then he explains how Jesus has died, and so on. And this is given like a free gift. And our response is a response of faith. But for Paul, this doesn't mean not bodily activities. Okay, when James is talking about faith and works, by works he means doing something with your body. And that's why he said, just as the body without the spirit is dead, faith without works is dead. Okay? Living true saving faith is faith that's working. It's a faith that's described and defined as the work that you're doing, not just some kind of inner disposition. And that's why he says, even the demons believe and shudder. Even the demons have an inner disposition about God. God is one. Even the demons believe Jesus is the Son of God. They confess to Jesus that he's the Son of God and the Christ. They believe it. See how that kind of faith alone doesn't work? It doesn't work. What was the problem with the demons in James's description in chapter 2? They're not doing the works. They believe things to be true about God and Jesus. They trust that those things are true, that Jesus is the Son of God. They don't do the works. And they're damned. And that's why James brings that up. The demons don't have the works. A man is justified by works. The demons won't be justified because they're not going to be doing the good works of God, which God has prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them. We do the works of God. We deny our flesh, because out of our flesh only comes filthy rags, and that's why we deny it. We do the works of God, and God's works are not filthy rags, because we know that every man is going to be judged by works on Judgment Day. You see how people are confusing apples and oranges there? And people out there in denominational Christendom are being deceived and confused by this. Martin Luther started this problem, and he thought he could solve it by saying faith alone, but not a faith that is alone. And, stuff like that really, when you start thinking about it, doesn't work. Our faith isn't like a power that causes something to happen. Our faith doesn't produce good works. The Holy Spirit produces good works. It's God who prepares the good works. Our faith is just our response to God. And when James is talking about being justified by works, he's talking about being justified on Judgment Day. Because that's what he's talking about in context. A man has faith alone. Can that faith save him? The answer is no. Verse 14, the answer is no. Yes, if you're a Christian, you are saved by grace, not of works, free gift, past event, done deal. That's true. Judgment Day is another matter, friends. On that day, everyone will be judged by works. Everyone. No favoritism, no partiality. And that's what James is talking about. God bless you.